Water balance is determined by the ratio or the relationship between intake and output. So when we have an equal intake to loss, we have balance. If we have a greater water intake than loss, we are hyperhydrated. And if we have a greater loss than intake, we are at risk for dehydration, or it is dehydration. The effects of dehydration can be summarized by the relationship between symptoms and percent of body weight loss. So if somebody has a 1% of their body loss, 1% of their body weight loss, that can trigger thirst. When we get to 2 to 3% of body weight loss during an exercise session, that's when you have the beginning of the symptoms of discomfort and negative symptoms. And we have a decrease in the amount of fluid on board in the bloodstream. The stroke volume decreases, and that's the amount of volume that the heart pumps out with each stroke. And so to maintain that flow, the heart rate increases to increase cardiac output. And so you'll see an increase in heart rate as a response to getting that 2 to 3% of body weight loss. As a person, and that's also in performance, starts to decrease. Though at a 150-pound athlete, this could be a 3 to 4.5 pound loss during a practice. And that definitely does happen in the heat in summer, and it's not it can happen for wrestlers. It definitely, with high intensity exercise, it's not uncommon. As we start to get a greater weight loss, we have more negative outcomes and experiences. And here you can see that body temperature changes, dizziness, weakness, confusion, and ultimately can lead to death. The effect of dehydration is identified in terms of name, level of severity, and the symptoms and what to do. So this is one of those relationships that coaches need to know about. Exercise physiologists, physicians, if they're working on the field. So if somebody starts having cramps, that is heat cramps, so muscle cramping, then you stretch, get some fluid, moderate or decrease the intensity, and get some fluid on board. When someone has extreme sweating and they feel faint and their pulse is starting to increase, their blood pressure has decreased, that's when you want to stop, get in the shade, lie down to make the blood flow to the body easier, not returned. When you become prone or you lay down, that makes it easier for blood to return to the heart. You want to get some fluids in. That's heat exhaustion. Cold, clammy, faintness, not feeling well. Heat stroke is when a person is no longer sweating, they're acting confused, disoriented, and you want to work on getting them in some cold. This is when the cold water on the surface of the body can help. You want to start to fan, put cold towels around those areas where the blood flow is near the surface of the skin, the neck, the arms, and at the groin. That's heat stroke, and that's life-threatening. So cramps, exhaustion, stroke. Hyperhydration is usually not a problem, and it can be beneficial when a person starts somewhat hyperhydrated before practice or before an event. Where it becomes an issue is when a person has so much volume on board that their electrolytes are basically watered down. And that would be, instead of having a normal value, a normal concentration of sodium and potassium in your body, you become it lowers. And so that is referred to as hyponatremia, decreased sodium. Now, that occurs when a person sweats, and they only replace with water, and they don't have a fluid or a sports drink that has some electrolytes in it. This is most common in ultra endurance events, and this can be either a marathon or it can be in some of these very long hiking bouts in the mountains. So we have an opportunity when we're doing extensive exertion or high exertion and not filling our refueling with electrolytes. A person is at risk for hyponatremia. To monitor the hydration level, there are a couple things that can be done. The easiest is to weigh before and after a workout. So the person can hop on the scale as close to naked as possible, and post-workout take all of the sweat, the clothing that contains the sweat, take that off, weigh themselves again, towel dry, and you can get that weight change. For every pound loss, you want to replenish 2 to 3 cups per pound. So that's a rule of thumb that's important to know. Remember, 2 to 3% body weight loss, you start to have performance decline. For every pound, 2 to 3 cups. It's a good way to think about it. You can also look at urine color and urine specific gravity. And with MHSAA, with wrestlers, urine specific gravity is one of the ways that it's evaluated for and evaluated if a person is dehydrated besides the body weight. Some big rules about that. So here are 3 ways, and this is from the Gatorade Sports Institute. Are you hypohydrated or dehydrated? Is my body mass greater than 1% normal? Yes. Is my urine dark yellow? Yes. Am I thirsty? Yes. So here we have the scale at the top, overlaps with the urine, and overlaps with the, sorry about that dog, with thirst. If you have 2 of those, you're likely. But if you have all 3 of these, very likely. Okay, so just if you can't go just by, this is using 3 ways. Color of my urine, and it's the stream when it's looking at the stream as it comes out is the best way, because it does get watered down when it reaches the bowl. Thirst and weight change. Urine color is another way of looking at it. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. We have the look. Once you have this color that looks like lemonade or darker, we're looking in the bowl. That's an indication that the athlete is dehydrated. Now, when you have that color change, we know that it can be associated with vitamins. So if a person is taking B vitamins or a multivitamin, that does change the urine color to a bright yellow. So that's why we want to look at something first thing in the morning and not post vitamins.